this lady dies and goes to heaven, stands before God, and asks to come back to life because, she's too young to die. God, can you just send me back? So God says, okay, I'll give you 25 more years. Woman, I'll give you 25 more years. So she comes back to life, and as excited as she is, gets plastic surgery, you name it, Botox, full head to toe makeover. And while she's walking, down the street, she gets hit by a car. And again, she, goes to heaven and stands before God and says, God, what happened? I thought you said I had 25 more years. Oops, I'm so sorry. Was that you? I did not recognize you with all that stupid plastic surgery. Number one issue and question of everyone, especially atheists, is evil. If God exists, why is there evil in the world? If God is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent at all times, if he's all powerful, why can't he stop evil? Now, I'm going to approach this from we need evil. Without evil, in fact, some really famous atheists, brilliant minds, both of them are from Oxford. Richard Dawkins, he's a professor at Oxford University. He says, even if God exists, he is evil to its fullest degree. God is evil. And also, he died 10 years ago, another atheist, again, a brilliant mind from Oxford, Christopher Higgins. He's one of my favorites. And the guy was hilarious. He would say, basically, to sum it up, what he believed in and what he was saying is, God doesn't exist, I hate God. He basically was saying that. Because he would say, God needs to, mind his own business and keep his nose out of my sex life, he used to say. Leave us alone. So the problem here is not that, most atheists, that they are in search of God and to prove him right or to prove him wrong. No, the problem here is that they don't want God. They want themselves to be God. The truth of the matter is, even if you prove Christianity to them 100%, they would choose not to be Christian. And most of them say that. I would choose, if you ask an atheist, if Christianity was true and was right, will you become a Christian? They say no. One of the reasons that they say no is that God is evil. Okay, so God is evil. And then I was listening to another debate with Frank Turek and another atheist whose wife, by the way, of 25 years is, a believer. So this is an atheist married to a believer. David Silverman. And basically, no matter what, the Christian was saying, debating, his whole thesis is, why doesn't God stop babies from having cancer? Why couldn't he stop that? Why does he want cancer? Why does he want evil? And he was saying, basically, his whole argument is that, why didn't God stop the tree from being, for example, over here, from being here to here? Because he knew that had he put the tree of good and evil over here, that they were going to consume the fruit. But had he put it over here, for example, they would not have consumed it. So, that argument just doesn't make sense. God knows from end to beginning. Because God is not in time. God doesn't operate in time. God is outside of time. So he sees the future. But does that mean that he could go and fix it and not allow evil to happen? Yes. But God like that. I will not respect, I will not worship a God who does not let me do evil, who does not give me the choice to do evil or anyone else evil. Why? Because that would mean that I am a puppet of a higher being and that he is controlling me, and I wouldn't want that. I want my choices. I want to be a free moral being where I choose not to steal that because that is, I know that's wrong and I don't want to do that. Without law, even though I know law is not going to catch me, I will not steal that. Even though I am able to steal that and nobody will know, I will not steal that, for example. I want to be given the choice versus me being forced not to steal that as a robotic being. So, God, listen, can God stop evil? Yes. Can God basically control everything? Yes. However, God cannot do what's logically impossible. He cannot do what's logically impossible. For example, he cannot make a circle a square. You either have a circle or you have a square. He cannot make a stick, a stick with one end. He cannot make a one-ended stick. Any stick, imagine this is a stick. A stick has two ends. You cannot have one end and this just going on and on and on. It's logically impossible. Can he do it? Yes, but he cannot do what's logically impossible. So that said, God gives us a choice, ladies and gentlemen. God, when he created us as a free moral being. And that comes with choice. Freedom, you want to have freedom, right? Yes. So that means that you are capable to choose to do evil and to do good. And God basically took the risk in creating us as a free moral agent being, even knowing that we either can hate him or we can love him. We either can be murderers or good people to society. We either could be rapists or just, that's your choice. So that is the answer to those who ask why God cannot stop evil, because we're not robots. I wouldn't want to be a robot. God could have created us as robots. You can't do this, you can't do that. No, we are free. You can do whatever you want, and that comes with evil people who want to do evil. That's a propensity that we are born with. We are innately born with this sin nature. Another argument when you bring up to atheists is evil actually proves God. Evil proves God. To have a shadow of a sun, you have to have a sun, right? To have the shadow. So, but you cannot have a shadow without the sun. For your body to have cancer, your body can have cancer, right? So if you take your body away, the cancer goes away. It doesn't exist. The cancer only exists with the body. For example, a rusty car. If you take the car away from the rust, the rustiness goes away. It doesn't exist. But if you take the rustiness out of the car is a brand new, beautiful car. If you take the cancer out of the body is a clean, beautiful body. But if you take the body out of the cancer doesn't exist. Do you understand? Evil proves God. Without evil, there is no good. So when an atheist says evil, okay, so how do you know that's evil? How do you know killing, torturing a baby is evil? Okay, I know torturing a baby is evil, but by whose standards? Because by Hitler's standards, killing the Jews and torturing people who are I don't know, just let's just say low IQ, or just make up something, or their bloodline that they weren't clean or whatever, or they were disabled, that in that society, they were doing the right thing. So by whose standards do you judge Hitler and that society and Nazi Germany? By whose standards? Because they were doing the right thing. In their eyes, they believed that they were doing the right thing. So then you can't say that that's evil. If God doesn't exist, then you can say that's evil, because that's your objective opinion. That's just an opinion. That's just an opinion. Do you understand? However, in order for us to say that that's evil, we have to have a standard. And that standard cannot be measured by me. Who am I? I'm a human being. That standard cannot be measured by you. That standard has to be measured by a higher being, and that is God. And therefore, evil proves the existence of God. So no atheist can argue that. There's nobody out there that is able to argue that, ladies and gentlemen, because they all atheists believe in molecules. Everything has a molecule. Well, how do you get the cells? There's like, I don't know how many trillions of cells in our body. How do those cells, how do we get the DNA? How do we get intelligence? They say, oh, it forms by itself. How? You can't answer that. So if there will be no such thing as evil if good did not exist. And there will be no such thing as good if God did not exist. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Go to James 1 and 2. James says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials." And the Bible says this. Throughout the Bible, it says, count it all joy when you're in trials. Why? Why are they saying that? Why should we be happy when we're going through stuff? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no character without adversity. Your character is formed by adversity. Character is acquired through pain and suffering. For example, how do I become a kind person? Without that person being tortured and without me experiencing that person being tortured, for example, and knowing that there is rape in the world, or just whatever it is, all the bad, experiencing the bad. Without the bad, my character cannot be formed. I cannot be kind. If evil didn't exist, how will we be kind? How will sympathy? How will we sympathize? If everything was perfect, if evil didn't exist, how do we get this characteristic of sympathy and sympathizing and feeling sorry for people? Do you understand? If everything was perfect, everything was given to us, we will be spoiled brats like children. In order for you to become a better person, and all God wants, basically, the purpose of life is for us to be formed in the likeness of his Son, of Jesus Christ. That's our purpose, for us to become closer and closer to Jesus Christ and how we look like. But how do we do that if evil didn't exist? How do I feel sorry for you if, let's say, you weren't raped? So how do we know the feeling of that? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. What else? Okay, another purpose of evil is to bring people to him and to make you more like him. So I talked about that. And sometimes we don't even know. Okay, another thing is the ripple effect that I forgot. You don't even know, maybe you're going through something, cancer, and for example, and you will never know the purpose of why you're going through that cancer. Maybe that is going to be rippled in, 100 years later. For example, somebody, this person, during one of the debates in university campus, this guy, got up, this atheist guy, and was challenging the pastor, saying, if there's God, why evil exists, right? And then this other person got up and said, I know a woman who was raped, who almost lost her, just everything, just lost her mind, trauma, and she never kind of got over it. But she decided she was pregnant, so she decided to have that baby. And that baby was born to her from that rape. And the baby was a little boy, and the baby grew up and became a pastor. And that man has saved thousands of lives, brought thousands of sinners to Jesus Christ and to God, basically saved souls, ladies and gentlemen. And he said, almost crying, that man is me. And so the man said, if my mom can bring good from evil, so can God. And after he said this, the guy debating, all the atheists in the auditorium, he said, he answered all your questions. Everyone's dismissed. And what happened to this atheist? He just ran out of the auditorium because just nothing to say. God brings glory from evil. That's just, I don't know why, but it does make sense to me. It does make sense. Your character is formed. You become a better person when you go through stuff. You cannot, without adversary, you will be just a spoiled child. How many people were saved and you actually came to Christ through adversity when you were in bad situations, in pain, in tribulations? You came to Christ. How many people? I came to Christ through that. I mean, I've always been a Christian. I was born in a Christian home, Orthodox Christian, Armenians. Everybody is like innately a Christian, when you're an Armenian, but that doesn't mean you're saved. That doesn't mean that you're saved. So I became a born-again Christian because I was going through very huge, unbearable adversaries. That's what brought me. So I would have died and gone to hell had I not gone through those evil times that perhaps God allowed and God caused. So I am grateful that I went through all those evil years and tribulations and adversaries, because now I'm saved and I'm going to go to heaven. I wouldn't change anything in my life, any bad thing in my past. I wouldn't change it for the whole world. I wouldn't change it because I don't want it. I've never been so happy and so fulfilled as I am today because I know Jesus. He is my happiness. He is my life. He is my everything. God is so great. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? God does not owe any of us anything. If God didn't do anything else to me right now, I have no right to complain. God does not owe us anything. Everything that God does to me and that God does to you is grace, is a gift, You don't deserve it. Even though sometimes I, think I deserve it. Ooh, yeah, I'm tithing. I know, God, you're doing this to me because I'm tithing. I'm such a good person. No, there's no such thing as a good person. The greatest person is a filthy rag next to the righteousness of God. You are not judged by any other human, Mother Teresa or the Pope. You are judged by the standards of God, by the standards of Jesus Christ. And when you stand next to Jesus Christ, you're a filthy rag. So no, you can't. I am judged by Jesus. So therefore, I have to accept Jesus as my Lord and my Savior for me to be saved, because God doesn't look at me when I go stand before him. He sees Jesus. He doesn't see me. If he sees me, I will directly go to hell. No, he sees Jesus, therefore he sends me to heaven, okay? To make a long story short. So evil does not disprove the existence of God. Evil proves the existence of God. Again, I will not worship a God who does not allow evil. I worship him and I respect him because he allows evil. I worship him because he allows Satan to attack. I wouldn't worship him, I wouldn't respect him if he made my life perfect and made me a robotic being. No, that's not fair. To me, that's a sadistic God. Because he's controlling me. He's a control freak. No, I don't want that. You don't like a control freak. You want somebody to give you choices, to make your own choices, to make your own free choices. Islam is not like that, for example. Islam doesn't have choices. Mormonism, Judaism, kind of, when you think about it, they don't. They go by the law. They go by the law.